Today I talked to Evan Daly, who's the co-founder of the Glean app.
Community was the most important part of it all, because when you're on a health and fitness journey, when you've like-minded people on the same as you, it's everything, you know.
In this episode, we dive into his journey and how he scaled his business without a tech background.
The goal of this, steady growth the whole way. Get a launch, get feedback, make tweaks.
So if you're an entrepreneur with a big idea, this is the episode for you. All right, so you went from being a jockey to pretty much building online PT, personal trainer, tech company. So what was that journey like right at the start?
When I was, let's say, back 12 years of age, racing was the only thing that I was ever going to do. And I could never, I suppose, see myself going into any other route bar racing. It was just horses in the brain. And from an early age, I had a lot of weight struggles in relation to, I suppose, a jockey's weight, you know, as in I wasn't overweight. But when you're a jockey, I suppose you're having to be extremely underweight. And for me, I had a lot of, like, I suppose, disordered eating issues as I was going on into 15, 16, 17. Had a bit of success when I was in racing, but got to the point where I got one very bad fall where I broke my back and broke my collarbone straight away when I came back. And there was the mixture of, I suppose, breaking bones and starving myself, I suppose. And I wasn't in a great place, I suppose. And that's where I didn't really know what direction that I could go from a career point of view, because you'd feel very lost when that's the only thing that you're ever interested in, you know.
And how old were you roughly?
So at this point I was only 19 when I had basically retired. Retired at 19, went professional at 16 and retired at 19. I ended up doing a personal training course straight after I finished, because I was like, right, I don't know what I'm going to do. Let's just do this, see what happens. Didn't think there was ever going to be a career out of it. And I was like, I always thought I wanted a stable job after racing, because from the early ages of, let's say, 12, you have to grow up very fast. Like, you're in a very professional environment with a lot of money on the line for owners, for trainers, and there's a lot of pressure. So I was probably working 7 days a week all the time, and if you weren't, it was still your weight management, it was always on your mind. So when I finished, I used to just think that, no, I want to just normal 9 to 5 and not much stress or whatnot, and just have stability. That's what I thought. And I decided to go into manufacturing engineering career into college course. So did first year, me thinking that I was going to go through fourth years. Now me and engineering numbers aren't amazing. So if someone said, what's one thing ever...
So you're a true tech entrepreneur. You're a dropout engineer, like all the best.
If anyone asked back in school, what's one thing Evan Daly shouldn't go into, it would be engineering. But I got through first year and absolutely hated, like, I hadn't a clue what I was doing, you know what I mean? So first year went by, it was the summer on holidays, and I was like, as we were leading up to the holidays, I was obviously going to have to get a part-time job, and I couldn't think of anything that I wanted to go into. And I said, you know what, I'm going to just build my own personal training studio, try to get clients, create an Instagram page. After probably 3 weeks...
What was that first step of getting the clients?
Naive is sometimes a good way to be honest.
Yep.
Where I got all my savings from racing, and I just built this and didn't do any market research, none of that sort of crack. I actually hadn't that much experience with personal training. The first step was renovated this kind of like an older building, pumped probably, let's say, 15,000 euro, probably 30,000 Aussie dollars into it. I said to mom and dad, I said, I don't care if this doesn't make, but once I have a little weekly wage, I'm happy, and I'll go in back to college and all that good stuff once September comes around. Went on Canva, put up a graphic and just saying space is available. And then from there, people started coming in, and I suppose it was a word of mouth from there where people started getting results. I was at capacity after probably a couple of months, because in person you're trading time for money, like, you know what I mean? As in, there's only so much you can do, only just obviously a roof you hit quite quickly, unless you obviously hire more people, and that wasn't an option in the place I was in. So that's where I decided that I needed to, long term, for what I kind of valued in life from a career perspective and freedom perspective, I wanted to push the online side of things a little bit more.
Yep.
So this is where Sean Casey enters the picture. So Sean was a massive help from a growth perspective with social media. And as you know, Sean, there was nothing massively formal. It was a Word doc with a to-do list on a daily basis of a little blueprint of how you're growing social media, how to apply that blueprint to videos, and then paired with, let's say, my knowledge around nutrition training, it all took off really, really quickly.
Are we talking social media? What did that actually look like?
Started posting properly with a bit of a strategy, we'll say, in October 2021. And by January 22, I'd reached, I think, probably 15,000 followers on TikTok. To the March, Instagram had probably reached 10K, 20K. And by the end of that summer, my social media was probably at 150,000 followers when I was in America. And as a result of that, Sean said one thing on our very first call. He says, when your social media grows, your application form is just going to completely blow up. And it was all one-to-one coaching I was doing at the time, paired with my in-person, paired with posting 5 days a week in social media. So it was quite nuts. My form, after probably just literally Google form, application form, was probably at about 1,500 applications. And you can only work with 30, 40 one-to-one clients at a time. Quickly realized that, okay, I've reached another kind of a roof, and this is all, and I can't emphasize this enough, this is all winging it, you know what I mean? As in, I didn't really know what, I was just posting value, people were getting results, and it was all just exploding. That's then where I had gone to America for the summer of 22 just to enjoy myself. But I was creating my group coaching program while I was in America. Gauge a bit of interest to see, like, is there much, I suppose I put up a little poll on social media to see, would you be interested in this? Obviously cheaper price, higher volume of people. And it was probably from start to finish, 4 months in the build of it, in the build of like the course and the little bit of systems. What we used was Kajabi at the time, and wasn't amazing. Grand for a course, but not for a program. And it sold out. I remember that I was over in San Diego, just sitting in the hotel, and there was a guts of, I think, 250 people on the first day signed up. Over that year and a half of the Daily Fitness community, which was my group coaching, that had grown from 200 members to, January last year, it was at 700 members.
Going from 200 to 700 in a community, and I'm guessing they're paying customers as well. We're not talking, followers. We're now talking paying customers. What was that journey like in the mix of that? That's a fair bit of growth.
Nothing changed from a marketing perspective. I was just doing the same things every single time. Hyping up a launch, sell out day one. Hype up a launch, sell out day one. In the middle of that, post so much, I suppose, value for people, I suppose, on social media. Engagement was good. I wanted to do a little bit more than a group coaching program. I wanted to have a little bit more hands-on. So I took on a couple of staff. Saoirse, who is currently like the head coach in Glean there now at the moment. She's absolutely incredible, and she definitely was a huge help bringing a little bit of structure. But when Saoirse came on, my idea was to do, I suppose, a mini check-in for all even group coaching members on a weekly basis. So in order for me to do that, this is 700 people, and in order for me to do that, I had to get automations in place for getting people sign up, trigger on Zapier, sends them their own Google Sheet. They fill out that, coach response then every week in their sheet. But first day I did that, people started getting other people's sheets, and it was just, it was just mental. That system wasn't going to work long term, you know what I mean? I was always going to have to go down the app route myself.
What was the aha moment of firstly, I need to move off the sticky tape and glue and move to something like a white label app?
Sean obviously was over in Australia in 2023, and we were living together. And he rang me one day and met on a beach, and he said, I have this idea. Would you have ever any interest in coming into an app with me? I could see it myself straight away, but I was also I'm not sure. This is very good what I have here. I wasn't sure. After I sat with it, decided to go for it. And the reason, and that aha moment was then, whereas you know what, this could be just huge. I wanted that bit of a risk. I wanted that bit of fire in the belly, and I wanted to just give it a go and go from well to extremely well, and help as many people as possible was the underlying foundation of it all, you know what I mean? And I just felt that doing that with Sean was just going to just like light a firework underneath it, you know what I mean? And I wanted something as well where you enjoy the day-to-day of a business.
The power of software is always scale. You've put the feasibility aspect in your head behind you, and you've said, okay, we're going to do this. What was the next step?
We had obviously built up over the 3 years. We felt, you know what, let's just say it didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
What's the worst case scenario? And the worst case scenario, we were still well fine. You know what I mean? Let's take this plunge. And obviously we got introduced yourselves through David, and obviously had the first interaction with you. And we obviously were very, again, naive at the time. You know what I mean? I just felt you understand our overall long-term goal.
Mm-hmm.
And as you, I suppose, we were putting X, Y, Z to you in regards to ideas that we had. And I just felt that there was a good understanding of it.
You say you wing things, but obviously you have a really good gut feel of certain aspects. You've taken that step forward and that plunge, and now we're starting the project, and it's like, okay, the next step is, what is your go-to-market strategy? So how are you going to take all the different things that you've built up, let's say with sticky tape and glue, and bring them together, and then for us to then migrate them in and actually build a product that's, let's say, bigger than you and Sean, and that being Glean. And what was that journey like?
Our main aim at the start was to keep things like ridiculously simple and get the, I suppose, core things in the app. But for us as well, like with long-term weight loss and sustainable weight loss and putting it into yo-yo dieting, it's having the app and it's having also the actual like program behind it all. So for us, obviously we had explained the ideas, the features that we were wanting in it. He obviously came back to us with what's possible, like I suppose for the first MVP set, or the MVP. And from there, needed to build out, I suppose, a whole team, because it was just me and Sean, Saoirse, and then there was we had some coaches in as well at the time, but we had another probably 10 to 11 coaches, or at the time probably 8 more coaches that we needed to hire. So that was one quite big step. That was something that we weren't, I suppose, very used to, you know what I mean? And it was a lot of learning, quite a big learning curve in that, you know. So that was one part of it. The next part was creating hype. We wanted to show off the process of the build as much as possible. We were a good 8 months out from getting the idea before we said, right, now we're going to go with it. We were speaking about it on a weekly basis. We were taking pictures of our calls, Byron, Dan, the whole lot of them, just hyping it up and showing the behind the scenes. And our goal was to bring people on a journey to, I suppose, make it as exciting as possible, you know?
How important was that?
Huge.
For building the hype.
Huge, because even just, for example, the other day, I just went back to look at website analytics for each launch, just to see kind of like how many landed on the day of the launch. There was, I think it was 45,000 people landed on the page. Obviously, we had numbers capped, but we could have let that run but obviously what we value is quality of service and make sure people are happy. Thank God we didn't let that happen, you know? So our cap was, we had 3 different things. So we had group coaching, we had one-to-one coaching, and we had a lifetime membership on launch. Group coaching sold out within 20-30 minutes at 3,200 members. One-to-one coaching sold out. Each coach has 30 to 40 clients each. That sold out. Then we had lifetime membership. 800 people signed up to that. Like literally, that's the trust that people had in Sean's and my message. And obviously Sean's incredible with social media in regards to the community that he's built. Like he's built a following, like they just love him, like, you know what I mean? Because he's very unique, he's very authentic, and it is what you get on the tin, you know what I mean? That's why I suppose that it had sold out. And the reason that we had put a cap on it was we knew that like there was a lot of more features that we needed to go with down the line, you know, and we didn't want to just completely overwhelm ourselves and for everything to fall apart. That was the last thing, because as I said, the view that people have on us is so important, and we wanted to stay true to ourselves the whole way through. Like, so that's why we're like, okay, the goal of this, steady growth the whole way. Get a launch, get feedback, make tweaks, launch, feedback, make tweaks, and gradually grow and grow and grow. The success of it was from 3-4 years of constant, every single day posting on social media and creating an audience and a trust, and that personal brand on both sides, both myself and Sean, like, was the foundation of it all. And without that, it which wouldn't have been as straightforward.
It's not just a digital product, it's a brand new business.
Exactly.
And then building up that team to be able to facilitate the demand and the scale that you're looking to achieve. Then there's the next part of the software development lifecycle, which is really around that growth and engagement. So what's that journey been like? So it's not just about building hype and getting people to just join. It's now, how do I keep people on board and keep adding value to your community?
Community was in my program previously, and in Sean's program, the community was the most important part of it all, because I suppose when you're on a health and fitness journey, it's like when you've like-minded people on the same as you, it's everything, and community from the whole build of Glean was our main focus, was the foundation, because we've people to date making friends, meeting up outside the app, you know what I mean? So that was the core foundation of it all. And what we wanted to focus on first, as I said, was the main foundations. But then in regards to members wanting to stay, quality of service is the most important. So me and Sean are in the group every day. Me and Sean are on calls every week. All the coaches respond to every single post. Customer service, like, people are just love our customer service team because of that being the main focus, having, I suppose, a client-centric approach the whole way through. You're always going to have little problems here and there, but because we're extremely transparent to our clientele, we tell them when there's a problem, we tell them how long we're open for it to be fixed, we tell them when we made a mistake, and they're just quite understanding, you know what I mean?
You've built up this product, you've gone live, it's now doing really well. What do you see as the future for Glean? Like, where's your head at? And Sean as well. Shout out to Sean.
It was every second month we did quite a big feature. So first we started with integrations. That was integrations of MyFitnessPal, NutriCheck, Apple Health, all your smartwatches. Next was badges, so gamification of the whole app. And the building of the app, and now the growth of the app itself from day one to now has all been from member feedback, to be honest. So we're like, what do we want? And then weighing up everything and then putting it to yourselves. Is this possible? How long? Etc. Everything's possible. Yeah. So from there, what we decided to do was the biggest feature that we put in place, and it's gone extremely well, was a community feature. We want Glean to be a completely all-in-one health and fitness app. And we want to cover 4 main pillars, and that's nutrition, training, mindset, and community. And currently we have them all, but there's one last part that we're going with, which is just started to get underway now, which is a Glean calorie tracker. And we've obviously will be buying a World Food Database. And when we have that in place, I don't know of any other apps that cover them 4 key pillars extremely well. Because, for example, like, we've just launched the community feature probably about 3 weeks ago. And the idea of the community feature was to remove Facebook, because people land on Facebook and there can be a lot of like doom scrolling. We want people to be able to come on to Glean and be like, I want to go to what I want to see. So for example, on the community feature, we have like different feeds. So I come on and I'm a new member, for example. I'll jump on the new member feed and I'm seeing so many of the same people in the same journey at the same start point. I'm a runner. Down the line, I will see a feed with the runner's feed, you know what I mean? And we want to make it quite a unique experience that not many other apps would have. And already, like, the engagement in that has been nuts. If there's something that I've learned throughout this whole process, is having control, or having control over everything, because we obviously have integrations in place, but if ever anything goes wrong, not on let's say your site, or not on Glean site or whatever, if we're reliant on other apps and other companies, they care less about us, like, where that was the other reason for pushing forward and investing in the calorie tracker, because it's very important that if we have an issue, that it's resolved. And obviously with yourselves, if there's an issue, it's resolved quick. Like, and that's been probably the biggest feedback as well, is the speed of responsiveness from yourselves, speed of fixes, speed of changes. You know, it's gone well, really well so far. And we want to just ensure that we have control over everything, you know?
That's why when we talk about the MVP, getting a product to market, if we can minimize the amount of integrations that are involved, it means that we're in full control of building that product. You're in a position now to continually reinvest and listen to your users' feedback and implement and reinvest, where at the start, it's really important to have full control, probably minimize the amount of integrations, get to market, solve the problem that you've originally set out to do, and then look at doing all these features, which we've successfully done together with Glean. So I think that's a testament to also understanding the process of building software and where that fits in business, and also listening to the end users, not making assumptions and just going and building all these different features. Is there anything you would have done different?
I'm not going to lie, like, I don't think I would actually have made a huge amount of changes, because I suppose the best way of learning it is sometimes making mistakes. But the first thing, I suppose, the underlying thing, that it wasn't a mistake that we made, but obviously thanks to yourselves, I suppose, with Bayern, there's one thing that he was always very focused on, was getting very clear on what does the foundation of all this look like. As in, he really, really wanted to understand the core of it all, and the core functionality of it all, and what we wanted, so that we can then over time build up on it. A mistake that we could have made would be go way too hard, too fast, and put in a load of unnecessary things, whereas we took it quite gradual, and we built on it, as you said, from the client's perspective as to what they were wanting and what was needed. If there's one learning I have out of it all, it's having control over it. The thing that went well for us, and if there's something I could say to someone, is spend a long period of time talking about it, talking about the build, bring people on the journey, bring people on the story of it all. Customer support and being proactive with having a good customer support system and a good customer support team is by far the most important, because the reality of it is, when you launch a new app, you are going to get hit with emails. We got hit with a lot of emails.
Yep.
And only for Adam, who's in our customer support, it wouldn't have been an enjoyable launch. But the handling of it, the transparency of it, members just understood, and they felt they're on the journey as well a little bit, you know what I mean? And that would be probably the two biggest things.
Cool. Last question. So you're not technical. How was that what was that like in a journey of building a tech product?
I feel like he had just a very good understanding of what we wanted to build. Obviously, he'd experienced building it before. So when the couple of in-person meetings that I did with yourselves, or did with Byron, did with Dan, did with Chris, like, I would say something, and then next thing, the lads would start talking nearly another language beside me, you know? But then they would explain things back in a very basic, simplistic way that made sense for me. But also the understanding and almost like little bits of education throughout that I've gained from the process has been huge. And going forward, I feel I can understand the depths of something, the risk factor with something, an awful lot better. And that's all from, to be honest, asking a lot of questions to yourself, and probably being a bit of a pest in the whole situation a little bit, but it has to be done. And I found that you are very good at breaking things down, and like, me and Sean are not technical at all, and we've got on extremely well with it. And as long as you have a good idea and you're crystal clear on the idea, I feel like yourselves can kind of look after the rest, you know, and be very transparent about everything. And I think that was probably the key thing, you know.
Awesome. Thank you so much for today, and I'm looking forward to everything to come with Glean.
No, I appreciate it, Ken. Thanks a million.